Oh, Hawke.
We do have the Prime Minister at the Regent Hotel in Melbourne, so we'll go to there now live.
Tonight, and what appears to be a very high informal vote. In some parts of Melbourne, the Victorian Premier John Cain was saying some time ago, the informal vote rather, is running as high as 15 and 16%. And that would seem to be the general pattern of events around the country. Mr Hawke has got a number of pretty serious questions to answer, and a lot of them have got to do with the behaviour of Mick Young, who, as the Special Minister of State, is the man responsible for selling the changes in the voting habits, the voting patterns to the Australian electorate. And it looks as though that could have been done an awful lot better. People quite simply confuse the new way of voting for the Senate with voting for the House of Representatives. They thought if you could just vote one for the Senate, you could also vote one for the House of Representatives and your vote would remain formal. Well, of course, that's simply not to be so. OK, now we're going into the news conference.
No, you're in. I was looking for you.
And the Prime Minister will soon be dealing with those questions.
Thanks, mate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make a brief statement. The first thing, of course, that I want to do is to thank the people of Australia for returning our government. And I thank, of course, not only the voters, I thank all in the party who have done such a magnificent job to achieve that result. When you go into an election, I guess there are three things that you want to do. First, of course, you want to win, which we've done. Secondly, you want to have a good workable majority. We've done that. And third, of course, you like to get as much icing on the cake as you possibly can. We'd hoped to get a bit more icing on the cake. We didn't do that. And that's something for next time. The indications that we'd had from our own polling suggested that we would get a swing to us of about 1%, 1.5% perhaps, and it looks as though substantially we've been frustrated in that respect by the very high informal vote. We're going to have a look at that, but it should be made clear, and I say this because there seems in some of the comments to have been some criticism of the party and perhaps of the minister involved, and I want to make it quite clear that the voting system that we got in respect of the House of Representatives was the best that we could get through the Senate. But I would hope that all parties would want to look very carefully at that situation to see what ought to be done where you've achieved a significant reduction in the informal vote in the Senate, but a very significant increase in the informal vote for the House of Representatives. I don't want, at least at this stage, to dwell any further on that point. I would like to say one or two other things, though. Firstly, I want to congratulate Mr Peacock, the Leader of the Opposition, for fighting a tenacious campaign. He must be given credit for that. From a difficult position, he fought hard, and I believe he's to be congratulated for the hard fight which he fought. I have, during the campaign, outlined the reasons why there needed to be, in these particular circumstances, a long campaign. That won't happen again because those circumstances will not arise again. But I believe probably that the length of the campaign didn't, on balance, go to our advantage. The other point that I would make is that it was a campaign in which I did not make, on behalf of the government, large, specific promises. In those circumstances, the negative attacks of the opposition on certain aspects like the assets test, superannuation tax, I think were able to bite and had some effect. The final point that I would make is this, that there are a number of people that I would like to have seen in the Parliament. That includes a few who may lose their seats and some who we would have hoped to have got into the Parliament. I regret that they won't be there. But I conclude, as I began, to repeat my thanks to the people of Australia, to the party and the workers who work so hard to achieve what is, after all, one of the few times where you've got a Labor government returned to power and returned with a significant and comfortable working majority. And I finally, just in 10 seconds, make this point, that I commit the second Hawke Labor government to work assiduously for all Australians, as I said on the occasion of our first victory. It will not be a government simply for those people who voted for us or for those areas which voted for us. We will be a government for all Australians. We will seek to pursue those policies which we believe will build upon the great recovery that's already been achieved, so that as we move towards the bicentenary, we will together create a stronger and more equitable Australia for all Australians.
Prime Minister, how big a majority do you think you'll have? Certainly didn't vote informal, at least we hope they didn't vote informal. Sure. Looks like a lot of people here who didn't vote informal, Prime Minister, anyway. What size majority do you think you will have in the 34th Parliament, and how big a factor was that enormous informal vote?
Well, one can't be precise, Peter. I think it'll be of the order of 20. Towards or 20. And, well, Peter, on the question of the influence of the informal vote, I noticed at one stage of the television programs that Senator Chip said that there was virtually 250,000 votes which his people seem to have identified as informal votes clearly intended for Labor. Now, if that figure is correct, of about 250,000 informal votes obviously intended for Labor, then the sort of swing to us that we were talking about was there.
Mr. Hawke, did this result surprise you? Was it a surprise to you?
Well, I think I've answered that in the sense that we were expecting on our research a swing to us of 1 to 1.5%. And it does seem, if you take this factor into account, which, as I say, has been identified by a party in opposition to us, the Democrats, that seems to have been the order. Now, I guess it can be said that we should have been thinking more about that as we were making our calculations. I think that a mention of it, of course, has surprised us all.
Prime Minister, do you think the large informal vote reflects a failure of the introduction of the new system of voting?
Well, now, you see, if you look at the Senate, there has been a very significant reduction in the informal vote. So therefore, it's been successful in that respect. But without any doubt, there has been some confusion. Let me say this, that I went round some of the polling booths in Wills today, and thank you to the electorate of Wills for maintaining the vote. And when I was thanking one of our workers at the booth, a lady came up to me. Obviously, she was of ethnic origin, a migrant in our electorate. I have a very large proportion, as you know, there. And she was saying to me, this vote, she said, 1, I vote 1, and I vote 1. I said, no, you vote 1 for the Senate, but you have to vote right through for the House of Representatives. Now, that was just a very small sample, but it's clearly the case that a very large number of people have thought that they could do for the House of Representatives what you could do for the Senate. And that's why I made the point earlier, Paul, that I would hope that all the parties now, when the Parliament resumes, would look at a position of improving the method of voting for the House of Representatives.
Prime Minister.
Well, that's the Prime Minister, Mr. Hawke, not just claiming victory, but simply taking it and being very confident about having 20 seats.
In terms of that proportion of the electorate which intended to vote for us. The important thing now for the future is that we've got the elections back into kilter for the House of Representatives and the Senate. I've only seen one lot of figures, and they were fairly early figures, but they did seem to suggest that the simultaneous election referendum may be carried, but I do say that subject to the observation that they were very early figures. Now, if we do have that position, not only of having the two houses back in the kilter, but that referendum passed, then a great service will have been done by the people of Australia for themselves and for more stable government in this country.
Mr Hawke, at this stage, how do you interpret the Senate vote and the high vote, or the seemingly high vote of the NDP? Is it a rejection by the people of the way you've been handling the nuclear issue?
Well, I have to make the first point that the government has been returned with a comfortable majority, and as a result of that decision, we will continue with the work, the very effective work that we have been doing in the area of peace and disarmament in the various international relevant forums. We knew that there would be a reasonable vote for the NDP, but there is no certainty that they...
Well, Bob Hawke certainly knew it was a reasonable vote, and the NDP has sent a message to Bob Hawke, a message that not only Bob Hawke must listen to, but also the opposition parties. So Bob Hawke goes back to the lodge after an extraordinary turn of events today, and tonight he goes back a chastened man. He'll be Prime Minister with a smaller majority perhaps as small as 12, and enlarged opposition, and some new faces in the Senate. Senator Peter Garrett, for instance, that conceivably will give him a rough time, particularly on the issues of nuclear disarmament and uranium.